And good evening, everyone. This is John and Shawn with Pure Adrenaline Fantasy Sports. Exciting couple days here for NFL free agency. But before we jump into that, Shawn, how are you this evening?
Hold on, John. Technical difficulties here.
All right, that's all right. Hold on. So let's play the intro, and we'll see you on the other side. So how about that? Are you there, Shawn? Shawn, are you there?
Yeah, I hear you.
All right,
Sorry.
there you go. That's okay.
The earpiece has died on me.
Oh, that's all right. Things happen. So crazy times in the NFL. Free agency officially started yesterday at 4 o'clock, but teams started talking to free agents on Monday at noon. So maybe not a player, but what has surprised you so far in free agency?
Um, I would just say that a lot of I wouldn't say bigger name guys, but I mean, a lot of I guess, releases of some of the people, and then people like Von Miller taking till yesterday to sign, and you didn't really hear any news breaking out of him signing anywhere. We all thought he was going back to the Rams. So that kind of was confusing. But I would think that probably people like Chandler Jones signing, well, I guess you could say everybody signing with the AFC West. It's been shocking so far. I expected more teams to kind of spread out and be more of a variety. And so far it's been mostly the AFC West signing everybody and the Jaguars signing everybody, it seems like, and then kind of like sprinkled here and there, a few teams here and there. I've gotten a few other people.
Yeah, Jaguars spending lots of money. Some of the contracts I don't understand, but that's okay. It's their team; they can do whatever they want. But let's start looking at some of the positions here. We are waiting on Deshaun Watson news. So hopefully during the stream we might be able to hear something about that. But let's add this to the stream and talk about some of the quarterbacks that have signed other places. Most of the quarterbacks were the bigger names were trades. Wentz gets traded. Russell Wilson gets traded. Any of those, the Wentz one surprised me. What did you think of the Wentz one going to Washington?
I didn't expect Washington. Um, I figured he might go more Steelers, somewhere else. I didn't expect for him to go there. I think the big one that surprised me the most out of the free agent signing so far has been the fact that the Colts haven't signed anybody. They, I heard a rumor that they actually might wait until after the draft to sign anybody at quarterback. Um, but I expected Mitchell Trubisky to possibly go there, and him going to Pittsburgh kind of shocked me a lot. But then what's been more shocking, I think, is Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota, and I would say even a Cam Newton at a far stretch hasn't been signed to any team. So that's kind of what shocks me. I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick and Andy Dalton, I kind of expect them to probably get a veteran contract, backup role, um, maybe even not sign anywhere and retire. But I figured Newton, Winston, and Mariota probably would get a contract somewhere, even maybe a Blaine Gabbert somewhere long stretch to even to compete for a starting job. I mean, I know the Giants went on and got Tyrod Taylor, but there's also other teams that could have quarterback situations where they could have a starter or a competitive backup going for the starting job, like the Texans. Um, the Raiders don't have a backup to Derek Carr, so that's kind of a far stretch. So I expected just a few more signings.
Yeah, some of the moves that surprised me. Trubisky going to the Steelers. I know they didn't give him a lot of money, but now they kind of have three guys there that can compete for the job there, and maybe if they even go, depending on what way they go in the draft, Maybe even add another piece there. A move that shocked me was Teddy Bridgewater going to the Dolphins. I know they have Tua down there. I don't know if that's to put a little pressure on Tua, or what do you think? What do you think of Teddy Two Gloves going down to Miami?
I think on his contract that he signed, I don't think it's anything worth it. I think though at this point in his career, I think he's kind of maybe after the injuries has realized his starting days might be over, and to be there for a backup role would be probably better off for him. But I do like it that he's going there to maybe compete with against Tua. Maybe Tua starts the season, struggles. They throw Teddy in for a game or two, make Tua learn. But Bridgewater, being under so many different offensive coordinators and head coaches, maybe he can bring something in to Miami to help with them, with the situation at quarterback with Tua, and with other free agents that have been signed with Miami as well, might be able to help Tua.
Yeah, what do you think of I didn't look at the numbers. What was the deal with the Vikings reworking Kirk Cousins' contract? I know they did add a no trade clause, but do you know anything about the money?
I think it's for another 40, or I think it's like 38.9 million he's going to get now next year again for his contract extension. He's going to earn, I think, roughly, I think I saw 340 million over his career so far after next year's contract.
Gotcha. Who else? Rodgers. That contract came back. It's like I don't know the numbers per year, but it turned out it was like 5 years, 192 million or something like that. I know when it first got reported that he was going back to the Packers, Ian Rappaport reported that it was 5 years, 200 million, and Pat McAfee on his show said there's no way it's close to those numbers. He goes, my source is telling me that it's not close to those numbers, and it turns out it was very close to those numbers that Rappaport tweeted. But I know it's a friendly contract for 2022. But your thoughts on Rodgers being back with the Packers?
I think it's more or less they gave him a contract, and I believe at the end of every year he has the option to opt out in his contract. I think they said it's pretty much, it's not a year-to-year contract, but it's not a guarantee. He got more what he wanted, which was guaranteed money up front. So I think overall, I think it'll benefit him. I think pretty much now what we're waiting for the Packers to do is with Davante Adams. I think you'll see them do the same kind of contract, 3-year deal, and probably an opt-out at each year, kind of like Rodgers has, just because Adams already has said that he's pretty much not going to want to play there without Rodgers. And he's not going to be part of no rebuild, not this late in his career.
Yeah, agreed with that as well. Some of the names that are still on the board, I don't know where they stand. Like Cam Newton, I know Carolina brought him back last year. Like, do they have interest this year? Two names you brought up, Winston and Mariota. I'm actually really surprised they're not signed somewhere. A couple weeks ago in our stream, I predicted Mariota would end up with Indianapolis. I know they're still interested, but I think a lot of these teams are kind of waiting to see what Watson decides to do. So let's bring up Watson. Not any of the legal stuff. I know it looks like the Falcons and the Saints are the two options that he's narrowed it down to. Your thoughts on either of those two teams?
I think the Saints is the logical one. They can end up having more cap room if they move contracts around to get him more weapons. I mean, he already has Kamara if he plays. They already have Michael Thomas if he ends up playing, and they have the Swiss Army knife and Taysom Hill. And then there's plenty of other free agents out there, wide receiver wise, that they can bring in to help him out. If you look at what the Falcons have, they lost Russell Gage. Calvin Ridley's gone for a year. They don't have anyone really beyond receiving wise other than Kyle Pitts. So unless he's going to throw the ball to Kyle Pitts 20 times a game, Deshaun Watson's not going to want to go there unless somehow, some way, maybe the Texans might throw in like Brandon Cooks in the deal or somebody wide receiver wise in the deal with Deshaun Watson to bring over. But then again, it comes back down to the Saints have very little cap I don't know if they're going to want to go throwing kind of that kind of money around for big contracts unless the Texans eat most of it.
Yeah, let's look at the cap here. I do have it up. Let's see if we can. Oops. See if we can bring up the salary cap. So this is not updated. I know, like the Jets, they have the Jets at 32 million, but we're still waiting for a couple of the signings to be made official. So let's see where they have the Saints.
Yeah, right there. It's 16.1.
16.1 million. So I'm not sure. Let's look at Houston. Where are the Texans? I know they're
Bottom,
dark.
bottom there, 10.4.
But let's see what the contract looks like if he gets traded, to see what kind of. So actually, Houston would save 24 million, which the Saints are going to need to free up some more space then, if that's the case, because what we had them at 16, right?
Yeah, but I also could see the Saints possibly doing is moving Watson's contract around to more guaranteed money if they end up making the trade, just for the fact that they're gonna swing money around just so he can have more room. I know that the Saints today restructured 4 more contracts, so I think they gained more today. And I know that if obviously they're moving money around, they're getting ready to do something big.
Yeah, so let's keep looking here. Let's go back over here and look at, man, you did a great job keeping up to date with all these signings. So thanks for making this little spreadsheet here.
Yeah.
What position you want to go to next?
I say let's jump over to halfback. We'll go in order. It's easy.
All right, let's go. Some big names still on the board. Melvin Gordon, Leonard Fournette, Cordero. You have Cordero Patterson here down as a receiver or as a running back.
Yeah, there's just so many big names there. I mean, like you just named Gordon, Fournette, Patterson. I mean, even Rashad Penny, last 4 weeks in Seattle, look what he did with his career. Put him like him right there out there that he can get signed somewhere. Then you have people like that played for the Texans last year, Philip Lindsay, David Johnson, that are still available. It comes down to it is what kind of money is going to be in the market with these teams throwing the contracts around right now that we've been seeing getting signed, like that are bigger, the 5-6 year contracts. I wonder what kind of running back money is going to get spent out there for some of these players with Henry, Cook, Kamara, that have gotten contracts lately and gotten extensions and been paid pretty decent amount. I wonder what the running back market would be, since obviously all the big names have been left to go except Chase Edmonds. And for James Conner, the rest of them have all been low budget contracts, 1 to 2 years.
Yeah, and looking at some of the guys that have signed here. I don't know much about Mostert. I know he played with San Francisco, but he signed with the Dolphins. Edmonds signed with the Dolphins. So Miami adding some good pieces, but not crazy pieces, but they're adding some depth there. Where do you, man, even a guy like Ronald Jones, I know he's young, maybe only 24, 25, and he's a free agent. So that kind of surprises me still. Sony Michel, still a free agent. What do you think about some of these other guys and where they might be going?
Yeah, I mean the whole Bucks running back core is there: Giovanni Bernard, Ronald Jones, and Fournette. I see them going honestly somewhere like probably Tampa Bay. Some of them go back there, obviously waiting on Brady now announcing that he's coming back. Obviously, a lot of people are going to go back there, but Seattle still needs a running back. San Francisco might need a running back depending what they decide to do. The Rams have Sony Michel there, so they could use another running back there. I mean, imagine a Cordell Patterson on that team out in LA.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of teams out there that still need some running backs. I mean, obviously, none of them there's been no running backs involved in any kind of trades right now so far in the offseason. But there's some pieces out there that some names been mentioned possibly of being traded. So it's kind of one of those see how it plays out, I guess, and see where positions kind of fall with cap space. I think that would be the only way that something could change.
Yeah. Before we move on, any other or running backs to look for?
No, let's jump over to the best fantasy position.
The best fantasy position. And man, another thing, some big names still on the board. Um, right before the end of the workday here, Robinson signed with the Rams. That was actually a surprise move. And earlier in the day, Cole Beasley got cut from the Bills. Let's start with Robinson. Your thoughts on him going out to LA?
I was talking to you earlier about it. I actually don't like it. I don't think it's a good fit. I don't think he's the Allen Robinson he was when he was with Jacksonville or the first year or two when he was with Chicago. He's gotten older, he's gotten injured a lot. So I'm not a big fan of it. I thought more Allen Robinson would be maybe go to Indianapolis, play on the other side of Pittman. I mean, Pittman's that big guy, like tall, speed, where Robinson could play the short passes and get him to be possibly lead him to get open. So I expected more of that. I honestly, a far stretch would have been is seeing him honestly go over to Packers and playing on the opposite side of Davante Adams. It was a far stretch, but I mean, him signing with the Rams with Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, is Odell Beckham coming back? You got Van Jefferson. You got a bunch of guys there in LA already. It's just I feel like it's gonna get crowded if Odell Beckham does come back there.
Yeah, and some of the other what you think? I know he's not as big of a player, but Julio Jones got released as well. He's kind of been on the downside the last couple of years. But where do you think a guy like Jones ends up?
I honestly could see him going to Cleveland, depending what kind of outcome playing beside Amari Cooper. Julio Jones. I mean, it shows it right there. Tennessee overspent for him, and they released him already, and he's not the value he is. I mean, he played half the season last year, if that, and the year before that, he played half the season. He hasn't ever since the Falcons Super Bowl run. He's been injury prone, and his career has shown for it.
Let's kind of keep going down the list here. Jarvis Landry gets released from the Browns after they make the move to get the guy from Dallas. Your thoughts?
Cooper.
Yeah, Cooper. Thank you. Your thoughts on Landry, where he might end up?
Honestly, it's hard to say. I could see him going with Indianapolis, but I also could see him maybe even falling in at a Washington, playing beside Scary Terry. The Eagles, I mean, are they willing to spend money on a wide receiver knowing that they can't have anybody catch the football there? It comes down to, I think, what kind of money is Jarvis Landry looking for. We haven't heard any rumors what he's looking for in a contract, but I'm assuming it's probably going to be around, I would say, he's going to probably want a 1 to 2 year deal and probably almost get around 15 to 20 a year, I'm thinking, knowing Jarvis Landry and how young he is.
Yeah, so let's look at some of the other names here. I know Juju Smith-Schuster last year signed a 1 year deal with Pittsburgh. Didn't really pan out. Got injured again. Let's see here. Who else we got? Deshaun Jackson's kind of on the backside. Odell Beckham Jr. Now with the Rams getting Robinson, does Odell go back? And if he doesn't go back to the Rams, where do you think he could end up?
I could see Odell ending up in Dallas. I think I could see that happening for the fact of him going to go against his old team in the Giants twice a year. He's playing with a quarterback that's willing to throw the ball, kind of like Matt Stafford, and he would be the number 2, but he would also be able to play as a number 1 pretty often with people going to be double teaming CD Lamb. So I honestly could see him going down to Dallas from LA, or I could see him ending up in maybe a Seattle and being up there with Lockett and DK Metcalf.
Yeah, so let's keep looking through the list here. No other Doesn't look like it. Carter, Davis, James, Beebe. I know St. Brown kind of he went from Green Bay to Chicago, but not really that big of a name. A guy that didn't pan out, Deshaun Hamilton. The Broncos released him earlier in the offseason. Loved him at Penn State. Would like to see somebody take a flyer on him to see if he can get going. Another big guy that was getting a lot of attention was Valdez Scantling, but he hasn't signed anywhere yet. Your thoughts on either of those two guys?
Hamilton, I'm actually shocked that they released him, just because of the wide receiver core that's in Denver, the injury prone with Sutton and with Jerry Jeudy. I'm shocked that they don't want to give him like a punt return position or something, or kick return position, kind of depth for wide receiver, like comes in on select plays. So with Russell getting traded, I'm not sure why that was moved for him. Maybe because of cap, they didn't want to spend what he was worth and not playing. For Valdez Scantling, I think he's shown his value with Aaron Rodgers, but my only question comes down to it is does he show his value if he plays somewhere else? That's my biggest concern. What kind of value does Valdez Scantling have without playing with one of the best quarterbacks in the game right now?
Right.
Because if he goes to like a Tennessee, is he going to be valuable when they run the ball so often, or does he go somewhere like out to the Rams and takes a contract cheap enough to play out there and get the ball more often?
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. I know one of my favorite players, Alan Lazard, got the tender put on him again. So Green Bay does, if he does sign a contract somewhere, they do have the right to match or get a draft pick for him. But we'll see what happens. He was drafted. I believe he went to Iowa State. Loved him there. Loved him entering the draft. So I feel like he just kind of gets buried there because they have so many weapons. But maybe with letting some of these guys go, he can get a bigger shot there next to Adams.
Yeah, I think if Adams does sign the contract and ends up playing, and Lazard's is number 2, I think that they'll end up letting Valdez Scantling kind of walk just for the fact that you got other guy, the next man up sort of situation. Maybe spend a little less. Maybe bring in like a T.Y. Hilton. They have Randall Cobb already. Kind of bring in like a cheaper guy to kind of fill that role. Maybe even a Deshaun Jackson. But I just don't see them wanting to spend a decent amount on Lazard, Adams, and Valdez Scantling on top of already having Dillon, Jones, and they still have no tight end position as well.
Right, agreed. And my Jets, they re-signed Braxton Berrios. I love this move. Leading up to it, they offered him a deal, and at first he declined the deal, saying, "You know what? I want to test free agency." There were rumors out there that he was going to get $9 million a year for being a wide receiver 3 and a special teams guy. Comes back, signs a 2-year deal with the Jets for $12 million, averaging $6 million a year. But it's like 3 and 9 or something. Like the first year's 3, the second year's 9. So I'm glad they got him back in the mix. But any other receivers to note before we go to tight end?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like the Michael Gallup re-signing too for Cowboys. I think that was a good move for them. And obviously Mike Williams, he obviously was going to get signed or franchise tagged. I think it was franchise. I think he ended up getting franchise tagged, and then he signed his 3-year deal, and it showed his value last year, how much he is worth. So I think in the end, I think he got what he was earned and deserved. And I think now between him and Keenan Allen, Josh Herbert knows who he's getting. And the other person that shocked me, well, actually 2 other people that shocked me on this list was Russell Gage going to Tampa Bay. I figured he would want to go to a team that he was going to get a starting role and not be the 3rd to 4th string guy there on. I know he wants to play. I know he wants to play with a good quarterback, but why would you take a pay cut and take a backup role when you have the ability to be a starter when he was in Atlanta? I think another player that shocked me was DJ Chark going to Detroit. getting some Jared Goff weapons, I think, is key. I mean, St. Brown obviously is going to be the number one, but Chark across from him could help Jared Goff out a lot. And then I'm pretty sure our biggest surprise as free agency so far was Jacksonville spending $84 million on Christian Kirk.
Man.
He is the third highest wide receiver in the league paid right now, and everyone watching all NFL Network and ESPN, everyone's shaking their head, scratching it like, what value did it show that his career has had so far, that he has shown that he's worth that kind of money? And everyone says Jacksonville's throwing that money around so they can get other free agents to want to come in there. And I honestly could see that being the reason that if they spend the money, people might want to show up.
Yeah, and I mean, some of these contracts, we have to look at them, see how they have them broken down, because I know the salary cap did end up at like $208 million this year, and I believe they've already announced it's going to be like 230 next year. So, I mean, maybe giving a guy like Kirk at the moment, even though he's, I think, would you say the third highest receiver? Maybe next year with some of these other guys that are going to be free agents, maybe that number goes up, especially with Adams. When Adams gets his deal, I mean, Adams is definitely going to be the number one guy, probably close to 30 million, I would think.
Yeah, I'm thinking Adams is definitely going to be number one. But still, I think Christian Kirk's top five. He's paid more than DeAndre Hopkins is paid, and DeAndre Hopkins has had 1,000-yard seasons like it was nothing. So it's crazy to think that people like Christian Kirk are getting that kind of contract. But then again, I can't say anything because I got the highest paid quarterback in the league, and I can't stand the guy.
What do you mean? He's the best quarterback in the league, bud. What do you mean?
Yeah, he's the best. All right. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't lie though. He is top five, I think, with the way he throws the ball. If the Vikings get an offensive line, and with all the offensive line pieces out there right now in free agency, and we're still scratching our head and doing nothing. So
yeah, so let's keep looking here. No other names. The Patriots keep Jacoby Myers. Juwan Johnson with the Saints. Josh Gordon stayed with the Chiefs. So yeah, let's move over to tight end here. Jack Doyle retired. That kind of surprised me. Only 9 years in the league. So that kind of surprised me there. I didn't see if he gave any reasons why. Noah Fant got traded to the Seahawks. But Shawn, before I let you go, we have a guest coming on. Let's welcome in Jeremy from NFL Chaos with Jeremy. Jeremy, how are you today?
I'm good. I got held up at the pharmacy. It was crazy.
No, that's okay. Shawn and I have gone over quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers so far. We can go back. Let's especially wide receivers. What'd you think of our Jets bringing back Braxton Berrios?
I was happy about it because we got him at the right price. That was the only question with Berrios. There was rumors that his agent wanted $9 million. That would have been outrageously high. But I think $6 million is a fair and good contract for him for what he brings to the team.
Yeah, and also late breaking before the end of the workday here, Allen Robinson gets announced to the Rams. I don't know if you had seen that yet, but what do you think of Robinson going to the Rams?
Apparently, the salary cap only applies to certain teams.
Right.
I just don't understand it. The rich keep getting richer, right? But it is what it is. I'll tell you, we didn't get up to it, right? So I just want to make sure I didn't miss. I really wanted to talk to Shawn about tight ends and
Okay.
So is that later? We're going to get to that?
we were just going to start on tight ends when you came in. But how about any of the other positions, running back or quarterback? You surprised by any of the moves so far there?
Obviously it's eye opening to the suddenness of the whole situation in Cleveland. Was pretty, just outrageous, and how fast that all unfolded. Like the whole thing with Baker Mayfield, and now they don't want him. He doesn't want to be on the team. He wants to be traded. That all just happened as a blur. I never even had Cleveland as on my radar as a landing spot for Deshaun Watson in the first place. So that took me by surprise. Atlanta being in the mix took me by surprise. So that's the big thing that was surprising to me as far as quarterbacks and running backs. I just don't think it's just not there's the only thing I think that running back that's really any interest that I've been waiting for is to see what's going to happen to Saquon Barkley. Like, is there going to be a trade or something there? But it's just not the position anymore that draws big news.
Right.
Now,
agreed. Go ahead, Sean.
Let me ask you this: with Deshaun Watson, why do you think teams like the Colts weren't or the Titans weren't interested in him?
It's perplexing. Maybe they were. Maybe I don't know if it was the draft picks. Maybe it was the draft picks. Maybe
especially with the Colts, I don't think they would trade him to a division opponent.
Oh yeah, and it could have been them not considering, or we don't even know. Deshaun Watson may have given them a list of teams he would absolutely not go to. Although you would imagine he would want to go to Tennessee or the Colts. It would be a great place for him to go.
Right.
Yeah, and I know. What I figured once Seattle traded for Drew Lock and got rid of Wilson, I figured maybe Watson went there, but I think his best place is the Saints. Me and John were talking about that earlier. Like you kind of just said, I don't think the Browns ever were going to be relevant in that. I know Baker was involved in a trade and a few draft picks, but I know with the Saints, Saints are offering 3 first-rounders, and I believe I saw 2 players at least not named yet, but 2 players involved in that. And that's not including how many 2nd through 7th round or compensation picks is going to get thrown in there with the trade as well. I honestly could see. I know I mentioned it to John the other night. I said to him, I could see Taysom Hill being involved in the trade.
Yeah, that wouldn't shock me if he was a throw into that at all. Not at all. That wouldn't be surprising in any way. I think after last year, we could put it away any idea that
he's a starter.
Right. I mean, I think Chris Sims really helped fuel that. He did a whole big thing on it and really pumped up this guy's stock and got people thinking he could be a starter. And I think last year that's been erased and eliminated as a possibility. But I could see them throwing him in as a gadget guy in being attractive to Houston. Just, he does add value to a team. He's an interesting piece. If you've got a creative coach.
Especially with him being that he could play a lot of positions, that could definitely help a team like that. I mean, Houston, 2 teams that have signed a lot of players this year has been Houston and Jacksonville, and it's shocking to think that those 2 teams are the teams signing everybody.
Yeah, that's a little surprising. Jacksonville, it's like also still like I understand they had a lot of money, but it feels like they must be just being very, very creative with these contracts.
Yeah, right. I mean, I don't know. We were talking a little bit about that. Oh man, I just updated. Let me put it on the screen. Ian Rappaport says Davante Adams gets a new contract worth $141.25 million over 5 years. So it says average of 28.25. Sean, we just talked about that and how it would be close to $30 million. Man, guys, thoughts on Adams? I did not expect to see this.
Wow, I didn't expect Adams to get traded.
Wait, what is it? What is this?
Did he get traded?
Wait,
right there.
That's what I'm seeing that too.
Final stages getting traded to Oakland or Las
Vegas
Vegas.
Sends back a 1st-round pick, potentially more picks and a player. Wow.
Oh wow.
Man, I am shocked on that. Guys, thoughts on him going to the Raiders? Man, what a division. Every Thursday night, Sunday night, and Monday night football game should somehow involve an AFC West team.
The real question is, does Aaron Rodgers now retire?
Yeah, even after signing that contract, what are they going to do? I mean, they tendered Lazard, but that's it.
You just threw away his only piece.
Yeah, like you said, we'll get into the tight ends, but they have no tight end. Man,
wow,
man, that's surprising. That's surprising news. Sean, can you do me a favor? I have my phone doing something else. Can you text Murphy and see if he saw the news?
Yeah, I will do that.
Thank you.
Wait a second. Where do the Raiders get? Where are they getting this money? Wait a second.
I
Did they
don't
have a
know.
lot of cap space?
I don't. I have that up here as well. Let's keep going here. The Raiders. I don't know how up to date it was, but over the cap had the Raiders at $36.5 million.
I don't even. There's no words right now to be. I don't even know what you could say right now. I mean, Aaron Rodgers just signed a contract knowing he was getting Davante Adams pretty much, and just all you had to do is sign the guy for a year. And I mean, as the AFC was pretty much just division to lock down for in the Super Bowl, I mean, all 4 teams just improved themselves this offseason. I mean, the Chiefs not as much, but the other 3 just pretty much went to the Chiefs level.
I'm shocked.
I am shocked.
I'm in shock.
Man, guys, that's some big news.
I'm
glad I flipped over because I don't have usually I have my phone going so I can see Twitter. It's actually doing something else, helping me with the stream tonight. But man,
I will say that Davante Adams did several months ago, I don't know, a few months ago, actually bought a giant mansion in the Vegas area.
Yep.
Someone did tell me he did that. So there was speculation that he wanted to end up in Vegas. So maybe he gave them an ultimatum, and maybe the Packers realized this is going to be a big headache for us, a big distraction. He's not going to play. Let's just take the loot, take all the trade bait, and we'll. They're definitely going in the draft. They're definitely going wide receiver, maybe 2.
Yeah. Here it says Adam Schefter tweeted out Packers get 2 2022 picks, including the Raiders' first-round pick, per sources. Jeremy, I know you've been doing a lot of mocks. Do you know where the Raiders were picking?
Somewhere in the 20s, low 20s, I think 22 maybe.
Let me check out
24, like right before Dallas, I think, right around in the 20s area, like in the lower 20s.
Yeah, because they just made the playoffs and got bounced wild card weekend. So I think they were picked 21.
22.
Yeah.
I just Tankathon has them at 22. Yep.
Damn, I'm good.
So now Green Bay has picked 22 and 28. There's going to be some good receivers there available for them.
They're gonna pick. I wouldn't be surprised if they picked a wide receiver like a Burks or an Olave, whoever's down there at 22. I wouldn't be surprised if they took a McBride or a Isaiah Likely at tight ends with 27. I think they're gonna add not just one, but they're gonna try to add 2 good weapons for Rodgers.
Right, but like Shawn said, I mean, I know they were buddies. Does this piss Rodgers off?
I don't think there's anything. I don't think he could blame the organization.
I think he does.
Really?
I think he does, for the fact that he pretty much held them by like a piece of hair on his finger, and he's like, I'm going to tell you what we're doing here, and if I want to retire, you guys are going to Jordan Love. I want to get traded, you guys are going with Jordan Love. And he goes, all right, I'm going to sign my contract. He signs his contract. 2 days later, Davante Adams is traded. I just don't get it. I mean,
Ian Rappaport says this trade has quietly been in the works for days. I would say quietly. I follow a bunch of these guys on Twitter, and nobody had ever mentioned any potential deals. Man, crazy. This is crazy. Man, what a division. What do they do? They're making this move, and heading into the offseason, they were talking about trading Carr.
Maybe they're going to trade for Aaron Rodgers too now.
Wow.
And you know what? Let me go back over to there. Man.
Now,
I want to see what Rodgers' contract is for this year.
Now, my question is, with the Niners wanting to trade Jimmy G, do they throw their name in for Aaron Rodgers now? get him back out to his home.
Let's see here. Trade. No, there's no way. The way the contract. Well, it would have to be. I do have it up on the screen. If they did trade, it would have to be with a post June 1st designation. Because if it wasn't, if it's pre, look, it would cost them almost 126 million in dead cap space. Just for this year. I don't think Rodgers is going anywhere unless he retires.
He can retire tomorrow and not even care now.
Right, exactly.
Aaron Rodgers just said I'm coming back, and Davante Adams says he don't want to play with anyone but Aaron Rodgers, and then Davante Adams.
I don't know, man. We were all getting ready to talk. I was getting ready to switch over to tight ends. Look,
yeah,
JPA football. Let's check in on Aaron Rodgers. Oh man, Shawn, did you text Murphy?
Yeah, he goes. He's so happy right now.
Man, what a great! He's a Raiders fan, so man, he's got to be loving that. That's funny, man. Jeremy, what are you thinking, bud?
I'm trying to figure out what, because it's all just, I'm just blown away. What's the per year average for Davante Adams?
It was 28 something, 28.8 something.
And how much was guaranteed?
Let's see.
I think it'll end up being probably like 20. It'll be like 28 per year, I think. But what's guaranteed is the question. Right there, look at that. Boom, 28.25. I'm pretty good.
Yeah, but that's not guaranteed money.
Well, guaranteed, I'm probably guaranteeing he's probably getting around 90, almost guaranteed. Look at that. Me and Jeremy are on spot with World predictions. He knows exactly what pick it is, and I know exactly how much he's making.
I'm guessing 84 of it guaranteed, 3 years in full guarantee, right?
Yeah, of the 141 million. Yeah, how much of that is guaranteed?
I'm guessing like anywhere from 70 to 84 million guaranteed. That's my guess.
Man, I was Shawn. What I kept texting all day. Man, I hope Watson waits till 7:00 to announce where he's going. I want some big news during the stream tonight.
I'm just saying now. I mean, mark it down. I'm telling you, the Vikings are going to win the division now. They're getting rid of everybody in Green Bay.
Let's see. Adam Schefter. For those wondering, yes, Aaron Rodgers has signed his contract. So.
For those wondering.
Oh man. So, but I mean, if they wait till June 1st, there is a little bit of an out.
Could they find a way to maybe, I don't know, work a deal out to try to get rid of Rodgers? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, Jordan Love, if you're going to have Rodgers for 3 years, Jordan Love's got to get traded anyways because he's not going to be able to ride the bench anymore.
Right.
I mean,
yeah. Well,
and that was such a bad pick by the Packers at the time. There was no reason for them to take. They needed a wide receiver in the worst way. And honestly, when I remember watching that stream or watching that draft, and they traded up. I believe they traded up for a couple. Yeah. And I'm like, I honestly thought they were taking Denzel Mims. That year, I wanted Mims so bad on the Jets, and I'm like, oh, Green Bay needs a receiver. Mims is still on the board. Higgins is still on the board. I'm like, they're taking one of the guys I want right here. And they took Love. I'm like, are you kidding me?
And he traded up.
Right.
Yeah, Tom Grassi was saying it on his live stream because he showed his reaction to that. Like I saw like footage of his, Tom Grassi, that huge Packers YouTuber, and he I remember him saying that. I caught that he was saying it when they made the trade. He goes, "Who'd we trade up for? Mims?" That was the first thing that came out of his mouth was Mims.
Right. Man, now if the Watson news does come out, it's not that big. It's not that big a news.
That's irrelevant. That's your pocket change.
Right.
Wow.
Oh man,
This is going to be great drama with the whole Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay thing now. Like to see what the fallout's going to be. This could be get the popcorn, guys, because this is going to be fun.
right.
I kind of want to watch on Tuesday when Pat McAfee has Aaron Rodgers on now, because I think that'll be an interesting conversation they have.
Yep. Oh man, yeah, that'll definitely be funny there. So
I think you'll see the next breaking news: Aaron Rodgers retires. Well, we saw that coming.
I don't know how that works with contracts, though. Like,
I mean,
when I go to the website, it doesn't list if a guy retires how that works. Let's see, Rodgers cut, restructure, and extension. They don't have retirement on there, so I don't know how that would work.
I'm pretty sure that he would just say you can keep the money at that point. He's made how much in his career.
Yeah, but I don't know.
I mean, he's stuck in it, like in the sense that, remember, like Barry Sanders couldn't get out of Detroit. He literally had to retire.
Right. That's
Detroit
wouldn't give in and set him free.
Maybe Aaron Rodgers can call Calvin Johnson out of retirement.
Yeah,
he's only like 35.
He's probably still amazing too.
He probably still could go out there and put up 1,000 yards a 1,000-yard season.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. I mean, with the cap space issue, I mean, that the Packers are in, do they have room to even sign any big name guy? Maybe Odell Beckham.
That's what I was just going to go over to the free agent list you have here and see what's still available there. Let's go over to the left.
They probably have enough money to bring Valdez-Scantling back again.
Right. I mean, do they take a flyer on a guy like Juju Smith-Schuster?
Maybe a Julio Jones.
Right?
Or Will Fuller.
Actually, getting a guy like Cole Beasley wouldn't be bad. We've Jet fans, we had to face him twice a year. He was always open.
I don't know. I mean, we come on the stream here to talk free agents and signings, and we're like, maybe Watson gets traded tonight, and Aaron Rodgers' best friend gets traded. It's like, wow. But hey, they both posted last year on social medias that it was the pictures of Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen saying the last dance. Technically, it was the last dance, but Aaron Rodgers came back.
I would hope they talked about this before he signed that contract. Like, listen, we're bringing you back, but we're not going to be able to bring back Adams.
He had to have known, no. I mean, if you look at all the Packers, I mean, how many people have they even gotten to sign this year? It's kind of, let me look up real quick. Who is Green Bay?
I don't know who the Packers have signed. Here in the wide receivers, they only tendered Lazard.
Here, hold on. Give me what a load. They have signed a defensive end, a Pat O'Connor, a offensive linebacker, or outside linebacker, Devondre Campbell, and Preston Smith. They signed Aaron Rodgers, and that's it. They signed 4 people. And that's even with their contract extensions. I mean, that's it. That's all their extensions, and here I'll tell you all the free agents that they lost in a second here.
So, man, let me just go back over to Twitter and see
what other news could have come out.
That was funny. I just happened to check.
Yeah, they lost free agents.
Look at players entered to the AFC West this offseason. Russell Wilson, Khalil Mack, Davante Adams, Chandler Jones, J.C. Jackson, Randy Gregory, and Justin Reed.
They also, with that trade, Packers moved Adrian Amos, converted 5.8 of his 2022 salary into a signing bonus. They cleared $4.7 million in cap space. So I wonder if they're getting ready to make more acquisitions, because besides that, they don't. The only person that they've gotten is Preston Smith. They released Billy Turner, their guard, who signed elsewhere. They signed a linebacker, a defensive end. Randall Cobb got a pay cut. Lazard got a tender. And then that's it. I mean, other than Aaron Rodgers, I mean, how can you – who else can you really give in their little bit of cap space that they got? But I guess they can figure it out.
Here from Ian Rappaport 3 minutes ago. While Rodgers was negotiating his contract, he knew Davante Adams would never play for the Packers again. The situation was too far gone. Something had to give, and when Adams informed Green Bay he wasn't playing on the tag, talks got fired up. Now Adams will be on the Raiders. Man, what a division. The AFC West. Man, I thought it was bad. I mean, we had to play Tom Brady for 20-something years, but I mean, every team in that division is good. Every team.
I mean, everyone just signed how many defensive players, but is defense going to matter when their offense could put up 50 every game, possibly? They only can take possibly 3 people out of the division for playoff spots, so someone's going to be the unlucky person, I think.
Right. Agreed.
I think what's going to hurt like a team like the Raiders, like I think what could still hurt them is what San Diego having this young quarterback who's very special, and what they've done with their defense, I think is what can hurt the Raiders. Like as good as they're getting, that the Chargers defense can can contain enough, and then Justin Herbert, third year could takes another step and is just unstoppable. That's not definitive, but I'm saying the Chargers really got very aggressive with their defense, and and they have that young quarterback, and that's to me, at the end of the day, even with an Adams, which makes, don't get me wrong, the Raiders incredibly dangerous, but to me, there's nothing better than, as far as a weapon is concerned, than a young quarterback, than a young, top, potentially top 3 quarterback in the NFL. That's like to me, the biggest weapon. So you put together a very good defense that that's very, very solid. It is not going to just totally get blown out, and be able to get the ball back and hold on some possessions, and then you get a quarterback who's capable of taking over a game. I still say that I like the Chargers next year.
Yeah, Shawn, your thoughts?
I know there's a lot of wide receivers out there that are top notch. I just wonder who Rodgers picks out of his arsenal that he wants, where they can make a trade for. Also, it's kind of, I want to see, they said a player to be announced in that trade. I wonder who that player is.
And I didn't look at it. Was the player going back to Green Bay, or was the player also included in the deal?
I thought I saw a player going back to Green Bay, but I could be wrong. I know it said 2-round picks or 2 draft picks, but
man, so now the Raiders will have Derek Carr throwing Davante Adams, Darren Waller, and Hunter Renfrow. Oh man,
it's Renfrow, Hunter.
So yeah, runner Renfrow, like you said during the season. So man, Shawn, so we'll get into projections after the draft. But man, where does this put Carr in the top fantasy quarterbacks?
I think this is a put up or shut up year for Derek Carr in his career.
Yeah,
you cannot go out there now and complain when you have the best guy. I'm more concerned with my 3-time title defense here with Davante Adams going on to the Raiders now. I mean, I'm more concerned with that.
Right.
My guys are getting moved.
Yeah, guys that are watching, thank you for watching. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think of the trade in the chat there. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We got a little off topic here with this news. We were going through all the moves, and then this news broke. So let's see.
One of my brother-in-laws is a diehard Packers fan. I can't even read the text messages because there's too many expletives.
Oh man, so man, that's crazy. Packers were willing to pay Adams what the Raiders are paying him, but Adams preferred to play elsewhere. Man, it.
I just think that I think that he knew that the time was up.
Huh.
The AFC West just became the division of the century, I think.
Mm-hmm. Man, it's going to be good. Before Brady came back, I know the Super. Oh no, they didn't. Who won the Super Bowl this year? Oh, the Rams. So the Rams were getting the Thursday night game anyway. So it'll be interesting to see who they put the Rams up against. But man, wonder if they make a switch and put an AFC West team up there.
My question though is why would the Packers waste a franchise tag knowing that Adams wouldn't be coming back? Why not use it on like another free agent and not just let Adams walk?
Well, because if he would have let him walk, they wouldn't get anything. Like now they're at least getting some draft picks back.
Yeah, they're only getting 2 though. I mean, Adams is worth more than that. I mean,
we'll have to wait to see what the official compensation is, but they said at least 2 picks.
Yeah, the
AFC
West is going to be a stacked division for sure. I mean,
how much would the Raiders give when you're considering the fact, hey, we have to pay the guy $28 million, and let's say they gave him their number 1, so they gave away a number 1 and maybe next year's number 1,
right,
possibly, or next year's number 2. But whatever it is, you just gave away a number 1 pick for a guy you have to pay $28 million for. Where typically in free agency, you can get a guy that you pay $28 million for where you really don't have to give up a pick. So it's a heavy price from that perspective. Like if money had nothing to do with it, then it's obviously what the hell. It's like they got him for free in that regard. But when you consider that it's the double payment, you have to not only give up draft capital, but now you have to give up, such a big percentage of your cap, right? Like 12, 13, 14% of your entire cap.
I think though, if you look at it, the Raiders probably could care less about money situation. I think when it comes to other free agents now, when their offense is going to have the ability to put up 4 to 5 touchdowns a game.
Yeah.
Right.
As long as their offensive line was already decent. They didn't let any of their offensive line really go, and they've improved their defense, and they just got the best wide receiver in the league. And you already figure Renfro Hunter was already top 15. Darren Waller's top 5.
Right.
Josh Jacobs is top 15. They don't even have to go out and sign anybody else, and they're probably already the second best team in that division.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think if the Chiefs don't go and make some big signings, I think the Chiefs might be the worst team in that division.
I don't know.
I think
right now I still think the Broncos. Not to say the Broncos are bad,
yeah,
but the Broncos are still the worst team in that division.
Truly thinking about it, yeah, I think the Broncos are worse, and it goes Chiefs, and then I think the Raiders, and then I think the Chargers are the best team in that division.
I think you're right though that that Kansas City isn't. They're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they don't make some moves, they lost some defensive guys. They're in trouble. They need to draft well, get impact guys. Like they could have a rough year, right? Because there's only so much. Like I don't know, man. They as good as Patrick Mahomes is, Hill keeps getting a little bit older and a little bit I'm not saying he's lost it or anything. He's not still great, but it feels like he's not as explosive and dangerous as he was a couple of years ago. It feels like he's starting to slow down a tiny bit, and they better get somebody else in there or do something because I don't know. The Raiders and the Chargers right now are looking pretty insane.
The only draft pick guaranteed is the first round pick this year. It says for draft picks to be determined and players to be determined. So I'm sure they're still probably working out all of those kinks. But now with Patrick Mahomes making the money he makes, does he say I need to take a pay cut or something? Maybe move money around for an extension on him?
I mean, I some of the guys we talked about, Kansas City should go out and add a guy like Cordero Patterson.
Yeah, because you think
I
about
know they're going to need help on defense, but man, that offense they're going to add it. They're going to need another piece on that offense.
because Travis Kelce still has 4 more years on his contract at $15 million an average. Let's see, Tyreek Hill's contract is, let's see, he's in negotiations. He's in his contract year.
Yeah, and here it says the Packers are expected to target Julio Jones. I know he was a disappointment there in Tennessee, but man, I mean that would be depending on what the numbers were financially there. That would be okay. I mean, it doesn't compare to Adams, but you know, better than Lazard.
Glass bones.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I
well,
just
if he could stay healthy, he's like you can never rule him out as a dangerous receiver. It is Julio Jones.
he stays healthy. He's top 10, top 15 possibly. I mean, and he's got Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball to him, so I guess he would be used to it with having Matt Ryan throw the ball up no matter what. I just, when you hear shocking news like this, it kind of shocks the world. I mean, because you don't expect a big name player like that to want to get traded or get traded.
yeah, I just keep updating to see if there's any more information on it. No, Davante Adams and Derek Carr played 2 seasons together at Fresno State, 2012, 2013. I did not know that. Adams led the FBS in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns, and Carr led the FBS in passing yards and passing touchdowns. Oh man, I know the NFL is completely different, but man, the AFC West is going to be crazy.
Whoever in our fantasy league has Derek Carr, I'm trading for him. It's over. That's it. Trading. Man. It's gonna be like 2 Kit Kat bars right there, and we be throwing at them all around.
Oh look, they have the Mountain West Championship. There's a picture of them together.
Huh.
Tom Pelissero. If you're wondering how this is going over, David Carr just handed James Johnson a box of tissues.
James Jones is an old Packer, and he's been on NFL Network, and he's been hyping up the Packers, trying to get everyone to go there, and then they just did this, and I'm sure it's pretty funny.
Oh man, I'll turn that on after we're done streaming here, but let's see here. They listened. Crazy. So guy, anything else to add on this before we look at some other free agents?
I guess we could go over to the tight end position because I don't know how we can really top what just happened there. I mean,
well, let's do that. I know Jeremy was interested in that. The Jets needed tight ends very badly, and they signed 2: CJ Uzomah from the Bengals and Tyler Conklin from the Vikings. I liked Conklin. After a lot of the guys got franchise tagged, Schultz and Njoku, Gesicki, Conklin was number 1 on my board to go after, and the Jets did get him. Jeremy, your thoughts, and then Shawn, after Jeremy goes, let us know a little bit about Conklin.
Yeah, look, I mean, I definitely thought of Shawn when the deal went down for Conklin, and was wondering what his take was going to be. I don't think, I mean, and he could correct me if there's, I don't know him as a blocker per se, because the tape, I've only had time to watch tape. Like I watched the every play he was involved in tape, and it's like literally goes through every game. He, as a receiving tight end, he looks very competent. He doesn't drop a lot of passes. He's got good hands. He seems like he can go out to the outside and run routes really well. But he doesn't take over games. And maybe it was, I don't know if it was Minnesota's scheme and by design, but it seemed like when he called upon, he could answer the bell and he could make good plays. They used him in screens a lot, but he didn't seem like a guy who dominates or takes over a game. Like, where he's unstoppable force, where he's running through people. He seems like a right at you kind of guy. You kept throwing the ball and he runs right into the tackler and tries to drive past them and fight for extra yards. There's no quick moves or duking anybody out of their shoes to extend the distance of plays. So which makes me think that he's a good receiving tight end in the sense that he doesn't drop the ball. He could run routes, but he's also not like your Kittle or your Kelsey or he's not the type of tight end that's going to take a 15-yard typical play and turn it into a 40-yard play because he's able to put some extra move on. My real curiosity, though, where I didn't have the time to really look into it and research it, is how is he as a blocking tight end? Because I think the Jets, by also getting CJ, gave themselves these two options. The word is they wanted balance too, and that it's just as important for the offensive scheme to get tight ends who can block.
Yeah, that was a lot. So I want a word to answer the right way. He's a good run blocker for sure because of Dalvin Cook. I definitely like him. I liked him for that aspect. The only thing that I didn't enjoy is I don't think he's one of those that he's going to go diving for a football or go jump up for a football, kind of like now like a Kelsey, kind of like you said, a Kelsey and Gesicki, Gronk, go up for a football and come down with it. He's not one of those receivers or tight ends. He is injury prone though. I mean, he is coming back. I think he tore an ACL this past year, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was. He was out he got injured before in the preseason because then we traded for the Jets receiver or tight end Chris Herndon for the season. But if I had to compare him to any kind of tight end, past and present, I would definitely compare him to Jason Witten from Dallas. I think that he has, kind of like you said, to put his head down, bulldoze somebody through the block. I mean, obviously, if you're going to put him up against maybe like a Jamal Adams, Tyrann Mathieu, he's not going to be able to bulldoze somebody like that with the speed and the hit power that they can give him. But with some of the cornerbacks nowadays, like if you put him up against some of the cornerbacks nowadays, he's going to be able to bulldoze, maybe fall for an extra 3-4 yards. On the Jets team, though, honestly, I see the Jets offense more or less forming to what the head coach had when he was with the Niners and what they kind of rolled with, because they rolled with Kittle and they would have another tight end to the left or to the right of Kittle a lot. So when they would do that, then it would be able to break out that you'd have one kind of as the edge blocker and then the other one would run the route, which would obviously more or less be Kittle. So I could see Conklin and Uzomah taking the turns because they're both coming from a team that ran the ball more than they threw the ball in years past. And I could see them both taking the turns. And probably I honestly could see both of them having a 750 kind of yard season, both of them. I could see them both having a really good, decent year in the Jets offense, just for the fact that I know John was talking to me today about it. There's no wide. They're still looking for that wide receiver. You have Berrios just signed, but you still have that third kind of receiver you want to have. I mean, there's still a few names out there they could sign, but I don't see them going to get a big name receiver when they have Uzomah and Conklin coming back. They're both going to be healthy when the season starts. You have Mims and you have Berrios now, who are both going to be coming back and on an offense for the second year. So I honestly could see, I think if the Jets can go out and they can get the offensive line power for the edge for Zach Wilson, I think honestly the Jets could have a really good passing offense with Conklin and Uzomah being that they are the good edge blockers and good tight ends as well. I like Conklin when he did play. He played really well for what they used him for. Once we drafted Dalvin Cook, he kind of went more the run blocking tight end, and we went more pass friendly. So I think if the Jets use him more as a passer and receiver, I honestly think then they're going to end up being really successful in that offensive power that they have, and they're both big name guys and bigger guys off the line of scrimmage that I think it'll honestly help them with Zach Wilson being able to throw the 5 to 10 yard pass that turns into the 15 to 20 yard game, where this past year, you throw to a tight end, you're getting 5 yards max, maybe. You're not going to go breaking a big percentage.
Yeah, so we'll see. I know I think with taking these two tight ends in free agency, I think it kind of pushes the need in the draft back a little bit. There was talk of maybe going in the second round. Maybe the Jets wait till like the fourth round now to take another depth tight end, and maybe in the second round go receiver to add to that wide receiver room. We have Corey Davis and Elijah Moore as well. So I don't know, Jeremy. Any thoughts on the rest of the Jets pieces added in free agency?
They addressed guard, which is with a Pro Bowl guard who knows the system, is coming out of the same exact system, who knows the coaches. So that is an extremely tremendous move because there's no mystery. You know exactly what you're getting. And I think by getting Tomlinson and doing that, it does free up and create a lot of draft flexibility because that pressure of getting that guard position filled in the draft goes away. And I agree with what you said at tight end. I think a lot of pressure came off of tight end, although I still think there's a possibility. I think there was a pressure to trade back the 10 or trade up the second, and a lot of question marks about whether or not they were going to get McBride, who I think, and I believe in my opinion, is probably the guy they really, really want. I do think there's a possibility that I think what's been taken off the table is you're not going to see them make a trade to get Trey McBride. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. But I think that if Trey McBride was sitting there at 35 or 38, naturally when they pick, don't be shocked if they take him because Joe Douglas still likes value and he still likes to take best player available. And I think they really love Trey McBride, but they definitely are in a position more where they cannot get him. They can wait. They can get a Ferguson, a Ruckert, a Kate Odden later in the draft and feel fine about where they are as far as the tight end room is concerned.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Shawn.
I honestly, I think with the Jets, I think with their upcoming draft, I mean, I don't follow the Jets obviously as much as you two do, but I feel like the Jets more kind of like the Vikings, work on the offensive line, work on the defensive line, and the rest of the pieces kind of are there. You just got to fix those positions because if you kind of like any other quarterback that's successful right now in the league, if you have time to throw the ball, you're successful. If you are look at Russell Wilson's stats, for instance. If you're getting sacked on 30% of the pass times you're going back, you're never going to be a successful team. I mean, you can't have your quarterback touching the ground every third, fourth play. I mean, it's not successful for the team. So I think if the Jets can honestly give Zach Wilson 4 to 5 seconds to hike the ball, look around, get his first read, second read, third read, go back through and then throw the ball, I honestly think that he could be as successful as he did in college and start bringing that to the NFL. And I think that you got to start filling the voids to what is successful for them.
Yeah, agreed. So, guys, once again, thank you for those that are watching. Thank you. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We had the Davante Adams news break about 10 minutes ago here on the stream. But, man, we do have some more information on that trade. Put it back up on the screen here. Tom Pelissero from, I believe he's from NFL Network, said the full blockbuster trade, the Packers get a 2022 first-round pick, 2022 second-round pick, and the Raiders get Davante Adams. If that's all the Packers getting, I as a Packer fan, I would absolutely hate this trade. I mean, not only are you losing Adams, but you're only getting 2 picks in this year's draft and only 1 first-rounder. I would hate that. Guys, thoughts?
I can't agree with you even more. I mean, that's might be the worst trade ever. I mean, that's like me handing someone a candy bar and they hand me $100 bill back. Like I'm buying it, or even buying a $1 candy bar and I get $100 bill back and I give them $1.
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense. I mean, that might be the worst trade ever in history.
Yeah, that's called your hand is they have you with your hand pulled behind your back kind of thing. They were in a desperate situation. You have a player that's not going to play. You had to get rid of him. And the Raiders took advantage of it. It's like any other negotiation. It's all about emotion and who's willing to walk away, turn around and walk away. And the Raiders were in a much better situation to turn around and walk away than the Packers were, because the Raiders walk away. They're holding their 2 picks, and they still have to. Obviously they have $28 million they're able to put together.
Right.
So whereas Green Bay walks away, and then where are they? They're stuck with a guy who says he's not going to play. So I guess they just had to get something, and they did it. And it's not good for Packer fans because none of that matters to them. What matters to them is they just lost an elite wide receiver, one of the best in the league, if not the best in the league, or top 3, and they didn't get a whole lot back. And the Packers better hit in the draft. That's all I'm saying. They're going to have to hit, not just hit, but hit with a guy who can contribute right away.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah, and I just looked up. The Packers don't play the Raiders in this year's schedule, so maybe that was another reason why they wanted to trade them out of who they would play on their possible schedule.
Pelissero also says any team could have signed Davante Adams to an offer sheet and given up the 2 first-round picks because he was franchised. And of course, if he did sign, the Packers could either let the trade go through or match. But Adams wanted to go one place, Las Vegas, and the Raiders gave up only slightly less to get him. So yeah, usually it's 2 first-rounders. They're giving up a first and a second, both this year. Still not enough to me. He's worth at least 3 first-rounders to me.
He's worth at least 5 draft picks and possibly a player or 2. I mean, you can't tell me as a Packers fan you couldn't throw in anybody else. Like you couldn't throw in a lineman here, a linebacker here, receiver. Your backups. Like you couldn't throw in low budget draft guys you drafted to help us out with position players we needed. I mean, the Packers didn't really improve their cap space issue. They kind of just didn't make it worse, but didn't make it any better because what they just got in those first 2 picks or those 2 picks there this year is what that cap space is going to be worth for what they paid for Adams for the year.
Go ahead.
So technically for next year, they're not really going to make themselves any better. They're only going to, unless the Packers now decide to do is try to move those first 2 picks, those 2 picks they got, and try to move them for more players or picks.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if they keep them, they have to hit on those 2 picks.
They probably should draft a quarterback in the first round there, 22nd overall. They need a backup to Jordan Love.
Oh man. Well, you know what? I wouldn't mind if they took a quarterback. That means either they're not taking a wide receiver or a tight end. And with the Jets having pick 35 and 38 to start the second round, I'd be okay with that as well. Hopefully somebody falls to them. But man, Jeremy, any other thoughts on this Adams deal?
It just shows the power that the players have right now over their teams.
Yeah, agreed.
I just can't believe the Packers were willing to trade him for that little and not want to just say, all right, well, we'll just let you sit out kind of like a Le'Veon Bell and then kind of next year go about it and be, all right, he's a free agent.
Derek Carr welcoming Adams home on Twitter. Some other NFL news: Bears are giving former Chiefs wide receiver Byron Pringle a 1-year, $6 million deal. So there's that best receiver in that division now, Pringle.
All right, you need to relax. Don't make me come.
Why? Who's Minnesota got? They don't got anybody good.
Oh yeah, am I gonna come teach you a lesson?
Oh man, so let's go back over to the free agents so far. Finish up on offense. We'll save defense for Sunday. and whatever other signings happen between now and then. But we're on the offensive line here. The Jets added, like Jeremy said, the Jets added Laken Tomlinson. That was actually he was when I looked at all the free agents, he was number one on my list that I wanted. Jeremy, I texted you as soon as I saw the news. I absolutely love the Jets moves. But before we go, why the Colts not making a move for a new quarterback? Because does anybody know the starting quarterback for the Colts?
I don't think they have anybody.
As of right now, no. But a week or so ago, I thought they should go after a guy like Marcus Mariota. I think he would make a lot of sense there. But your guys' thoughts on Anthony's question here?
I don't know. We talked about it earlier, and I think honestly it comes down to, I think with Watson, like we mentioned, what kind of comes about that? Where does he go? Because if he ends up going to maybe in Atlanta, do the Colts try to say, all right, well, can we have Matt Ryan? I think that's kind of what could happen. Or if he goes to maybe Saints, the Colts call, can we have Taysom Hill? Then maybe that's kind of what the big news. I mean, even the Colts right now, maybe they'll call about Baker Mayfield. They might make an offer for him sweet enough that the Browns end up wanting to trade him, and they can maybe swap a first round pick for Baker, and they can go draft a quarterback in the first round and still have another pick.
I think that the Colts are going to make a big play for, and Baker popped right into my head now. He's definitely a player that's now in motion that that teams will be looking at. I also really what I've expected for a while now, and I still think is going to happen, is I have this feeling that the Colts are going to end up getting Jimmy G.
Yeah,
I can see that, and for some reason, San Francisco doesn't seem too rushed to move on from him either. So that's kind of weird.
Oh no, they're just building it up. Build it up.
Yeah, They restructured. I think Kittle, Warner, a couple offensive linemen. They restructured a lot of contracts there in San Francisco for, I think, a trade or something to happen.
Yeah, but Mr. Grapefruit says Baker for Matt Ryan swap. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look at the money. I know Ryan's got a big cap number.
I think it's $40 million. I think.
So, and there'd have to be something else involved. I would think. I don't think you could just do Baker for Matt Ryan. But let's see, Anthony Price. You don't see Winston going. Oh, yeah. How about a guy like Jameis Winston going to Indianapolis?
No,
I think that. Yeah,
go ahead.
I think that would be second choice. I don't think that's what they want. I think that but if they're going to have to do something, they'll have to take somebody. But I don't think that they would prefer him. I think that the best situation for them, it's just such a perfect fit. I mean, they're going to have to compete because Carolina might end up going for that, like for a Jimmy G. But now with Baker Mayfield in play, it gives you a better chance because now they have two options. But I think Jimmy G number one, Baker number two. I think the Colts don't need much more than that. Like either one of those guys is definitely good enough for the Colts when you look at how their team is built.
I honestly, I think Marcus Mariota is the guy for that job. Mm-hmm. And if it's not him, I honestly don't know who else it could be, just for the fact that he is a perfect person to fit in a lineup where they have the mobility out of a Marcus Mariota. They have a Jonathan Taylor, and then they already have Pittman for a receiver. They don't really need much more out of a quarterback then, and they only need to get a few other key pieces, maybe another wide receiver in the draft, and it would be a perfect lineup already because you already bring back a top 3 MVP candidate with Jonathan Taylor, and you're going to be, if you bring in Mariota with Pittman and another receiver to be brought in, it could be a pretty good offense for a division that I can't say is an easier division, but it's not many teams are going to be battling in that division.
Yeah, well, so we'll see what happens there. Let's see, Mr. Grapefruit. This is going back to the Matt Ryan Baker swap. Well, yeah, I wouldn't know the picks needed. Yeah, maybe even some other players. Cleveland nearly has money to spend. I have it up on the screen here. Cleveland right now has $16 million. And I don't know if that's up to date. So really not that much, but these other teams are making it work somehow, making all these big moves. And I know a lot of teams might be pushing a lot of cap money to next year because it looks like the cap's going to go up another 20 to 30 million next year as well. Yeah. So hopefully some more moves to be made. I know Baker wants out. He said, go ahead.
And the Browns said they don't want him out.
Right. They said they don't want him out, but it's kind of too late. When you kick the tires on Watson, it's kind of too late. Baker has helped change the culture there a little bit. Now, is he the guy to get him over the hump into a Super Bowl? That I don't know, but I mean, he has helped turn that franchise around.
Yeah, he put Cleveland back in the playoffs, and they beat the Steelers in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And then you pretty much told them we're going to make a call on Deshaun Watson. I mean, right there and then you sit here and say, all right, we're out of it, but Baker is our starting quarterback. It's too late. I mean, that car's already been driven down the road, put in gear. You can't put it in reverse now and back it up again. It's not going to work. I mean, that you're hitting a few speed bumps along the way. And I just think that they decided things too late. And I honestly don't know what was the reasoning behind wanting to trade Baker other than why not just let the free agency or his contract run out and see what free agents are around next year and maybe bring him back. Maybe he has a great year next year and he shows his value. I just don't see how you get rid of a quarterback that played through a shoulder injury all year this year, brought you a playoff win. You were one drive away simply from being in the AFC Championship game 2 years ago against the Chiefs. It's just you gotta think about some of the situations that he put Cleveland in to win, and then you want already and within 3-4 years, 3 years as him as a starter, you already want to pretty much say, all right, he's done.
Yeah, Jeremy, thoughts on Baker in Cleveland?
Yeah, no, I think they're making a big mistake. I think he was playing hurt, and I don't understand why so many people and analysts and the media and fans don't see that and understand that. If you looked at what he did year 2, he was a stud. He brought a team that was in the oblivion for so long, and that was his second year, and he brought them to the playoffs, and we're May's third year, right? So it was his third year. And then he comes in after that year where he kind of stepped up, and really showed he could be their franchise quarterback. He comes back the next year. He's banged up. He's hurt. And he's playing through it. And he's gritty and he's fighting and he's in pain. And a lot of quarterbacks would have just stepped down and said, I can't play. But he didn't. He's tried to be there for his team. And the gratitude is, we're going to forget that you were injured. We're going to judge you for your performance as if you were healthy. And we're going to, basically chew you up and spit you out. So I think that they're making a mistake. It's not the first time we've seen this organization and this franchise make ridiculous and horrendous mistakes, especially in the quarterback position. And I think there's a chance. I'm not saying he's going to be superstar elite quarterback, but there's a chance that they're going to be very sorry. He's going to go somewhere and he's going to do well, and they're not going to be able to find a quarterback that quickly, and they're going to be very sorry for this.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
Yeah, I agree as well. And it'll be interesting to see. Grapefruit, Mr. Grapefruit, if you're still here, let me know in the chat if you're a Browns fan or if you're a Falcons fan, asking those questions, because I'd like to know if they don't get Watson, do they move on? Is Matt Ryan upset like Baker's upset with the Browns? What do you guys think?
Well, I know Matt Ryan's contract, they were going to restructure it, and then it kind of got put on hold. So I wonder if the reasoning to that is because would they move Ryan with Houston to Houston for the Watson trade?
Yeah, I don't know. Jeremy, your thoughts on Matt Ryan? Where he, if not involved in the Houston deal, would he be looking to get out of Atlanta since they're kicking the tires on Watson?
I don't think he'd have the same reaction as Baker. Like, I think it's just a little bit different. He's just a little older and a little bit more mature, and I think he understands his age and what if why Atlanta's doing it. I think that he might have that understanding. It's a different situation because Baker is in his fourth year. He's still really young, so it's basically saying we don't think you're good enough. Whereas with Matt Ryan, it's just saying, hey, we got to move on at some point, and this might be the opportunity. I think he's mature enough, enough veteran to understand that and not take it personally or be upset with the organization. I think he's had a great career in Atlanta, and he probably loves the city, and he's probably always going to be an ally to the organization. And to be frank, I wouldn't be surprised if he was planning on his final year and retiring anyway. So if they trade him, he'll play out his final year. And I think that he might be done anyway. I think that I'm getting the sense that he's probably nearing retirement.
And actually, Adam Schefter just tweeted out the Falcons now have pushed back the $7.5 million roster bonus due Friday for Matt Ryan to Tuesday, giving Atlanta 4 extra days to hear the Deshaun Watson decision. And be able to trade Ryan if necessary. So
makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how that works. I would have to assume the player would have to agree to something like that. But I don't know. Man, so guys, thanks for the comments in the chat. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We'll be having more of these videos up until the NFL draft. Then once the draft happens, we'll kind of turn and start looking towards next year's fantasy projections and rankings. After the NFL draft, we'll get into the NFL schedule then as well. But guys, we just have the offensive linemen to finish up over here. So what are your guys' thoughts on Shawn? What has Minnesota done? Are you waiting for some more moves or what's going on there?
I have no idea what we're doing. They extend Kirk Cousins, and then they kind of decided to halt right there with what we're doing. And I don't know. I mean, I guess it's just a waiting game at this point and see what kind of players they want to bring in. Maybe wait it out as long as they can. Maybe people will say, all right, we'll take less money. We'll sign there so we can play. I don't know. I mean, I wanted offensive line pieces, and everybody that I've wanted so far kind of gone away and been signed elsewhere already. So I just want to see what they decide they want to do. I mean, I want them to bring in people that are going to be able to block and help if Kirk Cousins is throwing football and we're trailing in the fourth quarter. And also help with the running game as well. We have Dalvin Cook for a reason. I mean, we got to be able to run the ball. So hopefully sooner or later they decide to start signing some key players and helping with the line positions of the offense and defense.
Gotcha. Before we wrap up here, I would just want to thank Jeremy from NFL Chaos with Jeremy for jumping in. He jumped in at the right time, right before the Adams news broke. So that was great to have you here. But why don't you give out your social media information and your channel information and maybe just a little bit of what's going on over at your channel.
Okay, it's just NFL Chaos with Jeremy. We've been following free agency and capping that up. Now we'll shift our eyes back to the draft with a new perspective. I talk about other teams. I have other team experts come on from other teams and do mock drafts with them. So I think it'll be a fun place to be over the next few weeks. There's going to be a lot of that. So no matter which team you like, I'm going to be finding insiders from different teams and doing drafts and having fun, and it's always it's called Chaos for a reason. It's a good time, and all fans are welcome from any team.
So once again, Jeremy, thanks for joining us tonight, and I'll either see you over on your channel or over on Green Bean's channel, Talking Jets.
All right, take care, guys.
Thank you.
See ya.
So yeah, Shawn, man, what a night. We texted back and forth all day talking about, man, I hope Watson waits till the stream. And Jeremy joined us, and while you guys were talking, I just wanted to kind of jump over to Twitter. I hadn't looked since we started the stream, and I'm like, wait, what? Davante Adams' new contract, and I'm reading the contract, and I don't know if it was you or Jeremy. You're like, wait, what? Traded? What?
Yeah. It came up saying traded, and I was like, what the heck?
Yeah. So man, that was great. That was good fun to do that during the live stream. But we touched on all the offense. We'll get into the defense on Sunday and any of the other moves. Hopefully, we could talk a little bit about Watson, where he ends up. But where do you think before we end here? Where do you think he should go, and where do you think he ends up?
I think he should go to the Saints. I think he ends up at the Saints.
Okay.
I think that's the best possible reaction for him to go and be able to have possibility of winning the most games, just for the fact that if he goes to the Falcons, they got a lot of signing to happen. He goes to the Saints, they got maybe one or two pieces, and it's kind of right there, then and there, and he's kind of ready to go.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it should be the Saints. I believe he's from Georgia. So I know the Falcons put a big full court press on, and some of the guys on Twitter are starting to say, this is interesting that they push back this bonus for Matt Ryan, maybe giving them a couple extra days to trade him away with that roster bonus. So yeah, what do you think? Do you think that has anything to do with a trade, or are they just giving themselves some extra time?
I think, honestly, if Matt Ryan wasn't an Atlanta Falcon, I think he retires. I just don't see him wanting to go somewhere else and learn all over again and restart a whole new offense where he's already been with Atlanta for his whole career, and he's towards the end of his career anyways. I think when his contract was up, he'd probably retire anyways. So I wonder if pretty much that would pretty much be the kind of, all right, I'm done kind of thing.
Gotcha. So, yeah. So we'll be back on Sunday at noon. Hopefully we get some more breaking news. Maybe we'll throw some more shorts in there if we get some Watson news or something. Maybe record a video and put it out there. So guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for the comments. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Kind of coming up with ideas for now through the NFL draft. But once the NFL draft happens and we have where all the rookies are going to be, we're going to able to amp up our projections. And then like 2 or 3 weeks after the draft, we get the schedule. So we'll be really able to amp up our projections after that. So once again, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Shawn, thanks again for joining me. Anything else before we head out?
Nope. Let's wait for the next big ball to drop for free agency now. Now it's I think it's up to Watson and whoever else is big name guys that can end up becoming a trade piece or maybe a free agent signing.
Yeah, so absolutely. So guys, we'll see you all Sunday at noon, and good luck to your teams, and we'll see you then.
See you guys.